Good morning, everyone, and welcome to First Thoughts on a Friday. First Thoughts on our gospel lesson that we have coming up for this coming week. It's a very, very familiar gospel lesson. You know it. I know it. The Pharisee and the publican. Yeah, the Pharisee and that tax collector. Both of them end up in church at the same time. The one is basically standing up front, but he kind of keeps his distance from everyone. You know why? Because he's better than everyone. Yeah, he wants to show that he is above and beyond everyone else in his righteousness. And here's the deal with this parable that Jesus tells. He is righteous. He goes beyond the standard of righteousness that's even set in the Torah, the law of God. Yeah. He fasts twice a week. You know how often you're supposed to fast if you're a good Jew? Once a year. Once a year. Day of Atonement. That's all that's required. No, he does it twice a week. That's how good of a guy he is. And as he's praying, he's giving thanks to God that he's such a good guy. And not like that one over there. And who's that one over there? Well, of course, he's the evil, corrupt tax collector. He's the one who's given himself into the enemy. Yeah, he's in league with the enemy, the Romans, collecting all these taxes. And, what a bad guy. What a bad guy. And, here's the deal with this parable. The Pharisee is absolutely right. He is correct on every aspect of what he just said, except he leaves one thing out. He leaves out the fact that as he gives his thanks to God, he's really just patting himself on the back and saying, what a good guy I am. Now, in a sense, there's nothing wrong with that. You want to do right, and you need to do right, and you should do right. But we're going to talk about what he's done wrong, really done wrong in just a second. That separates him from the tax collector in the parable. Because in the parable, what does the tax collector do? He makes no effort to really show that he's sorry for what he's done. Yeah, he doesn't give back to the people that he's ripped off. He doesn't make a sacrifice in the temple. No, all he does is he stands apart too. Really apart from everyone. In fact, he's probably been pushed out that way. When you go into the temple, there are insiders and outsiders. The insiders get let in a little bit further each step of the way in, where the outsiders are kept out. And he's an outsider. He's not allowed to come any further than what he's done. And so he's standing there. He can't even look up to God. When you prayed back then, you prayed standing, lifting your arms, looking up to God and saying, God, help me. God, thank you. Whatever you're doing, whether it's asking for help or praising God, you're looking up. No, he's looking down. He's looking down. He knows deep down inside he is messed up. His life is a mess. He knows that. So, as the story goes, Jesus says something rather interesting, rather strange, doesn't he? You know who the one was that went home justified, he said? It was the tax collector. The tax collector went home justified. You know how that Pharisee went home? He went home righteous. You're going, what? Wait a minute. Aren't we supposed to set this story up so that the tax collector's the good guy and the Pharisee ends up being the bad guy? Jesus never says the Pharisee is the bad guy. He just says he's righteous in his own eyes. He's basically full of himself. He's probably a very good guy as far as society is concerned. He has it made. He's righteous. And he's okay. The tax collector, on the other hand, he needs to be made righteous. And there's only one person who can make us righteous, set us right with himself and the world, and that's God. And that's what this tax collector asked for. And that's what the tax collector got. You know, the real problem with this parable is we set ourselves up as the tax collector, but we often become the Pharisee. We often become the ones who look at what we do. All the good things for God, the money we put in the offering plate, the things we do at church, the good things we do for our neighbors. And instead of asking God to take our lives, that they might be consecrated to Him, as the hymn goes, instead of doing that, we just say, thank you, God, that I'm not like that other God. We need to ask God, we need to ask Jesus to transform us into God's very likeness. That's what we need to do. And in a sense, that's what the tax collector was doing by saying, I can't. I can't. All the Pharisee was saying is, I can because I am. You know, Jesus said, I didn't come for those people. They're righteous in their own eyes. I've come for those who need to be put right with God and who realize that and recognize that. That's all over the place in the New Testament. So, yeah, it's an interesting parable, all right. It's one that makes us think. Maybe the thing that you and I, in our own righteousness, can do wrong is set up that dividing line between who's in and who's out. We need to erase those lines, because in the eyes of God, those who come asking receive. Everyone is righteous through Him in His eyes. We can't do the judging. We leave that up to God. Oh, you know what? It's an awesome day out. It's beautiful, and I'm in the back where I like to be, and there's my big old tree there, still standing tall, losing its leaves. Leaves are flying down around me, but the sun is shining. It's a wonderful day. Go out and enjoy God's wondrous creation.